Hi, friends. Can you hear me okay? I hope so. Let's get that. There we go. All right. We are live. Let me make sure I'm able to see any comments. There we go. Okay. Yay! Well, we have some new adventures happening over here at Connecting with Creation. Let's get started. Welcome to Intuitive Life, co-creating your life with Jesus Christ, a show where we seek to better understand the seen and unseen world of light and energy around us, thus making it possible to better understand co-creating our lives with Jesus Christ. I'm Sarah Jones, your host and intuitive living guide. I am here to help you move your mountains, help you to move your mountains and increase your faith by simplifying complex ideas and sharing tools to navigate being human. So we are jumping in today in today's season 2, episode 1. We are in our season 2 premiere. I'm going to introduce the new layout for the podcast, for the show, and share details about my book, Scripture Affirmations, Learning to Speak of Christ. So let's get started. The new layout. I have been taking a podcasting class, thankfully a class called From Podcast You, put on by Monica Packer and Rachel. I don't remember Rachel's last name. But it's absolutely amazing. It's been really helpful for me to just give me insights to how to lay out the podcast. When I originally started the podcast, I felt I needed to just start without having really an understanding. I'm kind of the be in motion so God can steer me kind of person right now, in business right now, of just be in motion. And so I started the podcast without fully understanding and knowing what direction I was going and how it was going to be. I just knew I had to start it. So I did. And I started the podcast over the summer in June, and it's taken about 5 months for me to kind of figure out where I'm at and what's going on. So here we are today. The new layout, which I'm really excited about, is what's going from scattered chaos to order. One of the things that I love, my husband Cable Jones, introduced me to an idea that chaos happens when we are in motion for order to come into play. And when he first introduced that to me, it's something that just felt so good. And he actually explained it using the scriptures and talking about when the earth was created, or when the world was created, and that there was first chaos and then order came. And then every time that I've looked in my life, I've realized whenever there's been chaos, order has come about. Chaos and then order, chaos and then order, which helps me to be more appreciative of the chaos. But it's one of those things that has really helped me to understand that even with the chaos, which I was feeling with the podcast, it kind of being disheveled and not making a whole lot of sense, just me rambling and me talking, it feels right now that there's order coming, and I feel very good about it. And so here we are. Every month, the way the layout for the podcast is going to go is that every month we are going to have a scripture theme for the month based on a scripture used in my book, Scripture Affirmations, Learning to Speak of Christ. So my book again is Scripture Affirmations, Learning to Speak of Christ. There's 52 weeks that are set up for speaking one affirmation a week. And what I love about this setup is that I get to really focus. Every month is going to have a theme from one week of the affirmation. So we're going to get multiple insights, perspectives, really be able to dive into what the scripture references are that are associated with the affirmation, and really just dive into how that helps us in building an intuitive life and co-creating our lives with Christ, how that really helps us. What is really fun is that already there's some foundational podcasts that I've already recorded. 6 of them, 5 of them are out. I'm going to be posting the 6th one tonight, but I already have a foundation with introducing intuitive life and co-creating with Christ. There's aligning, or how our love increases faith. My apologies, I was reading a different note. So the previous podcasts that have already been laid out to kind of help lay the foundation for what's coming is how love increases faith. The 2nd episode was aligning our will with the Lord. The 3rd episode is the gift of time. The 4th episode is the light of Christ. The 5th episode was choice and consciousness. And the 6th episode, which is going to be going up tonight, is millennial discipleship, choosing to be chosen. And so knowing that those are really the foundational of season 1 for the podcast, knowing what we're going into with season 2 is exciting. So in season 2, every week of the month is designated to have a special focus on the scripture. The first week, I'm going to introduce the scripture. I'm going to introduce the affirmation that is connected with the scripture, and we're going to talk about my insight and understanding that I've learned from it, or what I've learned from the scriptures, and just really reference it and dive into what that scripture has meant to me and what I've learned along the way, so that I can help you guys better understand it as well. Which then also opens up to where if you guys have insights, this is where you share comments. This is where you share what you're what you're gaining from this scripture as well. Week 2 of the month and week 3, we're going to be having a special guest on, someone who's going to specifically be talking about light and intuitive living in their special field. And another week, we're going to be talking to someone specifically who works with energy and connecting it with Christ and understanding how to be a co-creator with Christ using both light and energy that is around us, right? The seen and unseen world of light and energy. And so that's what's really going to be happening in weeks 2 and 3 during the month. And then week 4, I'm going to wrap it up with this is how the month looked. This is the learning we had. I'm going to answer any questions that were posed, that were sent in via email or in comments on our social media accounts, as well as introduce the following month's theme, which is really exciting. So at the end of the month, we'll kind of just do an overall of how everything went. And then from there, we will jump into the next month, unless there's a 5th week. And then the 5th week will be a surprise. We'll go with, it can be a combination of insight. It can be a combination of special guests again. It'll be a whole lot of fun. But we're going to be airing a live Facebook on Tuesday evenings at 7 p.m. Mountain Time, which will be converted into a YouTube video, as well as converted to the podcast episode that will be put out the following Monday. So you can watch live. You can watch the Facebook recording on the Facebook page. You can watch it on YouTube, my website. We're going to have it all over. And then the actual podcast is going to be posting the following Monday. I have to figure out logistics on this completely, guys, but that's the way it's looking right now, which again, I'm really excited for. I do have aspects of sharing on social media, on Facebook and Instagram, also on Reddit now, and again on YouTube. If there's any other place that, I have LinkedIn as well that I'm going to be connecting and not necessarily engaging with, but just putting the content out there for people to interact with. So, let's see. I love going back to the meaning of why we're going with the theme of a scripture every month, and specifically having the scriptures that teach us to speak of Christ. So I want that to be the focus of the show for the next little bit, because I know the difference it's made in my life in helping me to go the right direction and build the foundation I need so that I could develop a better relationship with Christ and myself and other people. Because again, with connecting with creation, with what I do as an intuitive living coach, I specifically help people better their relationships with Jesus Christ, themselves, and other people. I'm a big fan of learning to be obedient to the greatest commandment. In Matthew 22:37 through 40, it's when Jesus was asked by Sadducees or Pharisees. I'm pretty sure it was Pharisees. But he was asked, what is the greatest commandment? And he replied, I'm pretty sure something that shocked him, and they were not expecting it because they were trying to get him in a trap. But he answered and said, the greatest commandment is to love God with all of your heart, your might, and your mind, to love him. And then he emphasized the second is like unto it, to love your neighbor as yourself. So in my work and in what I want to help you understand is really the trifecta of what is intuitive living, intuitive life, co-creating with Christ. It really is, and I'm holding up my hands in a triangle right now, in a little triangle. And so at the top we have Jesus Christ. At the top we have him. We have ourselves and other people in those bottom two corners of the triangle. As we are learning to live more intuitively with Christ, as we're drawing closer to him, we move up, and our relationship with other people also increases, and ourselves. And so as we work together in the three, we all naturally increase and are able to have a more joy-filled life, a more fulfilling life, a life that is full of light and love and goodness. And I speak of that truth because I've led a life and lived a life that did not have those things. So I am focusing on better connecting and helping all of us to better connect with Christ so we can better connect with ourselves, our families, our friends, our neighbors, our communities, and the world around us. So I'm all about that love. I also want to share how and why my book came about. My book and where it's at. So I'm in the submitting it to publishers phase right now. Back in early September, mid-September, I was in a business class, and all of a sudden I had this idea of you have to write a book and use scripture affirmations. I've already been creating them on my business account and posting and creating memes and posting them, and then I realized how great they are, and not because I created them, but because they help me to feel good, and they help me to personalize the scriptures, and it made it really easy to personalize it. So I felt impressed to use the insight that I'd already been given to actually start creating these scripture first-person affirmations based on scriptures. And as I did it, and I focused on light and love and truth as I was looking at the scriptures, everything just came out really fast. And I knew what scriptures to use, I knew what questions to ask, and it's just taken me the time over the last couple months to really refine what it is. And so each scripture affirmation in the book has the reference scriptures, as well as 3 additional questions that are there to invite you to increase in love and understanding for yourself relating to those scripture affirmations. And so the book came about because I was doing something, I was in motion, and God got me there by telling me to just go. And so where we're at right now, or where I'm at, again, is in getting it published. That's where I'm at, but I'm still going to start talking about it because I love it and I want to. So here we go. When it comes to actually speaking personal first-person affirmations based on Jesus Christ and his teachings, I know firsthand the impact it's had in my life. And so when it comes to recording a podcast, when it comes to sharing a video or writing a book about something that I am so familiar with, it's exciting and I love it because I want to help you better understand the simple ways that we can build connections with Christ. I truly, truly want to simplify and help you understand ways that you can connect with Christ that you may not have realized is actually something that changes us. And so when it comes to scripture affirmations, in 2008, I was listening to a general conference that was put on by the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. Sister Susan W. Tanner gave a talk. She was speaking, and she quoted in part a scripture from the Book of Mormon in 2 Nephi And the part she testified and read that she spoke was, quote, "I glory in my Jesus," end of quote. And I realized that I wanted to be able to speak like that. I wanted to be able to testify of Jesus in that way. I had yet to be comfortable doing it, though. And so what I felt impressed to do and what I felt heaven teach me was, Sarah, speak that scripture as if it's yours. Speak that scripture as if it's you. And it took me a couple months to actually speak it and really feel it and to know that it's true. But I did, and I spoke it, and I tried, and I loved it. And so that's really where I'm at with sharing scripture affirmations is firsthand, I know the impact it had in my life. And I want that goodness and amazing feeling to also be had in other people's. When it comes to any type of positive affirmation, any and all of them can be for our good, because God and the Spirit of God, when we speak truth and we seek light and we seek truth, God will always confirm it to us in our hearts. When we're speaking it, when we're seeing it, when we're doing it, whatever, or hearing it, God will confirm it. And so when we speak these affirmations from the scriptures, I feel that we're allowing the Spirit to come in and really edify us and change us and teach us what is truth. And so that's where the book and the foundation of it came from. And if you have any questions, I would love you to leave a comment if you have questions, and I can answer. Also, if you are inclined to pray and help me that the publishing gets accepted, that would be greatly appreciated. I am excited to start this adventure, to be on this adventure, and to include my adventures with you guys and to share them with you guys and to learn with you and grow with you as well. I know that we can all learn together, and that love for God, love for others, and love for ourselves really does help the world and help all of us. And I'm all about love. When it comes to having a goal to convert the podcast, because I'm going to be sharing the scripture affirmation, the scriptures, and recording everything, it really is a goal to convert the podcast, to share it, or convert the video into a podcast and share it. However, those adventures with the new podcast layout are not going to be happening right away. The new podcast layout is going to happen in January, but in the month of December, I have lots of fun adventures for us. So in the month of December, I'm going to continue helping to build the foundation of where we are at with intuitive living and how intuitive life and co-creating with Christ, what that looks like in everyone's everyday life. So I'm going to be talking to an intuitive nutrition health expert. I'm going to be talking to a real-time healer who works with energy specifically. Hint, hint, it's my husband. We have really fun conversations, and we would love to share insights with you guys. So as well as an intuitive, someone who is connected with really intuitive parenting and intuitive relationships, and who understands what it is to really connect and to feel the guidance of how to build those relationships, as well as intuitive dance, intuitive creation, along those lines of just really how to release and how to heal and how to connect through movement and through creation process. So we're going to have a lot of fun in the month of December, friends. All right. Knowing that we kind of jumped right in, update on the podcast, update on the book. I know I'm a little scattered still, guys, because again, this is episode 1. I'm learning to do things new, and I keep referring to my notes. I just held up my paper. I keep referring to them because I'm like, I have to make sure I'm talking about everything that I'm supposed to talk about. So here we go. Again, thank you for joining me today to learn more about the happenings of the podcast and how personalizing the scriptures helps us to improve our relationship with Jesus Christ, ourselves, and others. I am also introducing at the end of each podcast, I'm going to be inviting you to speak an affirmation for the week if you feel so inclined, as well as give you an action plan or give you something to really think about and ponder about. So I love giving homework, guys. It's one of my favorite things to do in my coaching calls is give a homework. So I'm going to give it to you guys in the podcast and on the videos too. So this week's affirmation that I'm going to invite you to ponder about is actually based on the scripture in Matthew 22:37 through 40 that I shared earlier about the love of God. and loving ourselves, our neighbors as ourselves. And that scripture, or the affirmation is, I choose to love God, my neighbor, and myself. Again, I choose to love God, my neighbor, and myself. It's an affirmation. Again, when you verbalize it, it changes us and impacts us in a way that when we also are making a choice, it helps. So every week we're going to have an affirmation and we're going to have an action. So action for the week. I'm going to invite you. I know I talked about chaos to order earlier. I talked about how chaos comes and chaos can be so challenging, but how without chaos, how do we find order? And so order, I know, comes. And the invitation for you this week for your action is to ponder and write about an experience where you have seen in your life, or where you might be experiencing it right now because it's 2020, where you've experienced chaos, transitioning into order, and seeing the good that has come from that chaos, where at first it didn't make sense, but then once you were in order, you're like, oh, the chaos was necessary to get me here. And that's my invitation for your action item this week. Again, thank you for joining me on our first episode of season 2 of Intuitive Life, co-creating your life with Jesus Christ. Have a great day, guys. See you next week. I have to learn to end stuff. Peace out. Wait, before I end, hold on, my friend. Hi, Annika. If you're on there, hello. Okay, bye.